I recently got into watching Jujutsu Kaisen, and it's actually an amazing show. It's one of the rare animes where it's interesting off rip. You don't have to do a whole slow burn of getting into several episodes before you start caring about the story, like a Steins Gate situation. You immediately see what the story is, and there is no weird anime, kinky fan service in the show. I've gone through season 1, and so far so good. I haven't seen any weird Japanese degeneracy. I mean, me personally, I'm big on degenerate content if it's in the right context, but the way Japan just throws nasty stuff in your face and expects you to accept it just makes me sick to my stomach. So usually when it comes to anime, I'm not a fan of most new ones. I think the last new anime I watched was Attack on Titan, and so finding Jujutsu Kaisen was actually a breath of fresh air. And I was actually telling one of my friends who's a bigger anime fan than me, dude is up to date on One Piece, that I got into Jujutsu Kaisen and he should check it out. And he said that he didn't like the show because it was just a reskin of Naruto. He basically said that he was watching it and it literally felt like he was watching Naruto all over again. And I was like, I don't really get it. And I tried to break it down. I was like, yo, the show starts off pretty good. You have the main character, Itadori. He's a school kid who ends up in a situation where he gets a demon locked into his body. And this demon ends up making him more powerful. Now, technically, in the beginning, he doesn't have much control over the demon. But as time moves on, he ends up having a pact or an agreement where they have a little bit more control and a little bit more mutual agreement. And at the same time, because he has this demon in his body, a lot of people in Jujutsu High and the Jujutsu community basically look at Itadori as a threat, someone who's dangerous, someone they don't like, and kind of want to off him in order to protect themselves and the world around them. But he does have some people in his corner. He has his teacher, who is a handsome man with white hair and a beautiful smile. And this teacher is super powerful, super cool. Off rip, you kind of get the feeling that he's someone who is very important to the story throughout. And he's someone who's probably going to be with this character and teach them as time goes on. So you kind of get invested and you kind of think, like, I want to keep going with this and see how strong this character gets. Now, as time goes on, you basically learn that this teacher is going to adopt this kid into his team. And the team is made up of one other guy, a girl, and then the teacher himself. And I liked it. I was like, yo, you got the whole team together. It's looking really good. And it ends up that these three come together in order to work together to get stronger, as well as exercise these demon spirits. Now, as the show goes on, these three get their first test in their sister school event. It's basically an event where multiple schools and multiple different jujutsu fighters come together, and they kind of go up against each other in a supervised arena where the teachers are watching how the students are behaving, and the idea is seeing how good they are, how advanced they are. And the whole point of this sister school event is for them to pass this exam and then rank up in their next level, grade A, grade B, special grade, etc., where the idea being that they can prove themselves and get a promotion. It's kind of like me during Q3 when I'm telling my manager all the things I did for the past year, hoping that he'll give me a promotion, and you're basically begging in a different way.
I would give myself, look, I hate to do it, but I will do it. I would give myself an A+. Is that enough? Can I go higher than that?
And what ends up happening is that while they're doing the sister school event, you get to see more fights between people. You get to see more story come out. What's really interesting is that Itadori actually kind of blossoms during this fight. He actually learns a new technique. He actually is able to hone his powers a little bit more, and he's able to kind of show that he actually is a worthy opponent and a worthy jujutsu caster. And as the event goes on, and as these different schools are versing each other, there's some backstory between characters, where there's like this weird like clan system that exists in some of this Jujutsu High society, where because some people are born a certain way with certain abilities, they're treated better, and others who aren't are basically pieces of garbage. It's one of those weird things where there's basically an anime version of the Aryan race theory. And what ends up happening is you get a little bit more backstory about these characters. At the same time, you also get to see some cool fights, and it's cool. Like, the whole event looks awesome. But then there's also some background actors and some background pieces, because as this whole event is going on, there's actually a plot to crash the event by an evil actor. And this evil actor's intention is to ultimately basically steal this young boy Itadori's body. He's kind of a weirdo. He's kind of a sicko. He wants to essentially have him on his team He wants to abduct him. He wants to kidnap this kid. He's basically someone who belongs on a child predator list and shouldn't be 500 feet away from a school. And what ends up happening is that this evil character crashes the event, basically derails the whole thing, and it goes from a simple exam to an actual real-life test, an actual war scenario, where you actually have to fight this evil actor, and it's not just for the sake of passing the exam anymore. And what's interesting about this is that as you continue to watch and learn more about the world of Jujutsu Kaisen, is this person who actually crashed the event is someone who used to be part of Jujutsu High. He used to be part of like a trio, like a legendary three, but eventually they kind of have a clash of ideology. I don't want to spoil too much, but he goes a separate way, forms his own secret organization, real sicko weirdo stuff where he's basically an evil baddie that likes to experiment on people for his own gain and his own ideology, and he's basically taking it to fruition by attacking the people that he used to be boys with and trying to basically get resources in order to kidnap this young man. Now, what ends up happening with this event is that Itadori actually rises to the occasion. He hones his abilities and he's actually able to contribute to stopping the attack. And this arc kind of ends. This is where I left off on the show. What follows is basically a new feeling of the show where you are now interested in what this attack was, what was the motivation, how to find these actors, how to stop them, and basically protect this young boy's life. So with all these different plot points and different pieces, I don't really understand how you compare this to Naruto and try to find any type of symmetry. It seems to be pretty original in its own right, and I don't really see anything that's too glaring. I mean, the only thing that kind of reminded me of Naruto is that there was a racist old crabby man that hated the main character and anyone that protected him. But other than that, I can't think of anything else.
Kiss me through the phone.
He copied my whole fucking flow.
Oh,
word for word,
shit.
bar for bar.
Oh.
At the end of every single video, make sure you ask people to rate and subscribe to your content. It makes them feel like they're involved even though they're really not. And most importantly, make sure they comment on every single video. If you have to, disguise it. You know, call it something like the question of the day. And really make them think you're gonna really read it when you really don't have to. Ha ha ha!